I'll never forget that night. My parents stood shivering on the porch, coats pulled tight, their frail hands knocking on a door that should have been theirs to walk through without hesitation. From the window, I could see the scene inside. My in-laws laughing, clinking glasses, music spilling through the air, celebrating as if the house belonged to them. But it was my house. And outside, my parents looked like beggars. That was the moment something inside me changed. I stopped being their polite daughter-in-law and became their reckoning. When I first met Armin, I believed I was marrying love. He was charming, ambitious, from a family that wore their pride and money like armor. My parents, simple and honest, welcomed him with open hearts. They trusted him, and he repaid that trust with cruelty. At first, the cracks were small, little digs. My mom's food was too plain, my dad's clothes too cheap. His family laughed, and soon Armin began to echo their insults. I told myself marriage meant compromise, so I stayed quiet, but my silence only gave them permission. The betrayal revealed itself slowly. My parents stopped dropping by. My mom's calls became shorter, her voice tight. Then I learned why. One afternoon she came over when I wasn't home. My mother-in-law answered the door with a thin smile and said, "We're busy, maybe don't come so often." I confronted Armin, but he brushed it off. "They're exaggerating, don't take it so seriously." But the truth screamed at me the day I came home early. There they were, my parents, standing on the steps holding bags of fruit they'd brought for me, turned away once again. I watched from down the street as my father's shoulders slumped, my mother wiping her eyes. And when the door shut in their faces, I swore I'd never forgive. That night, Armin and his family laughed inside, glasses raised high. I stayed in the shadows, and I ed planning. Revenge, I realized, isn't about rage, it's about precision. I began quietly. The house was in my name, bought with money my parents had helped me save long before I ever married. My in-laws thought it was theirs, but on paper, every brick was mine. I gathered the documents, updated deeds, moved accounts. Step by step, I built walls they didn't even know were closing in. Then I studied what they loved most. My father-in-law lived for reputation. My mother-in-law craved control. Armin loved comfort, the illusion that he was master of a kingdom that was never his. So I stripped each of them of what they worshipped, one piece at a time. The night everything came to a head arrived sooner than they imagined. They planned a grand party in my house, sending out invitations without even asking me. I kept silent. I waited. When the night came, with lights blazing and music filling the rooms, I walked in too, documents in hand, calm as if I were a surgeon stepping into an operating room. I moved through my own living room like a stranger reclaiming stolen ground. My in-laws froze. Armin stuttered. Before he could get a word out, I set a folder on the table. "Enjoy the drinks," I said steadily, "because after tonight, you'll never set foot in this house again." Inside was a lawyer's letter, simple, an eviction notice. The house, every asset tied to it, the accounts, legally mine, signed, sealed, undeniable. Their faces cracked with shock. Guess whispered. My father-in-law's hands shook as he read. My mother-in-law muttered threats under her breath. Armin's face flushed red, demanding answers, but I didn't shout. I didn't need to. Instead, I opened the front door. My parents walked in, hesitant, small, as if still afraid of being turned away. I held their hands and led them past the stunned crowd, seating them at the table my in-laws thought belonged to them. "From now on," I said quietly, "this is their home, not yours." The aftermath was brutal for them. My in-laws were humiliated, their social circle buzzing with gossip about how they'd been thrown out of the very house they bragged about. Armin's pride collapsed when he realized every comfort, paid staff, shared accounts, the prestige of living there, was gone. That night, they left with nothing but fury burning in their eyes. But I wasn't finished. I went after every debt they'd hidden, every weak spot in their businesses they had ignored. Within months, their so-called empire crumbled. Friends turned their backs. Their name became a stain. My justice wasn't loud or flashy. It was slow, steady, relentless. Now, when I walk through my home, it feels different, warmer. My parents sit in the garden sipping tea, their laughter finally filling walls that welcome them. And I remember that night on the porch, my father's trembling hands, my mother's tears. That memory carved itself into me. It was the moment I chose silence no more. Some say revenge consumes you. Maybe. But I don't feel consumed. I feel cleansed, because they tried to make my parents beggars at my door, and I made sure they'll spend the rest of their lives on the outside.